I went to Paris. The decision to visit Paris was as impulsive as it was exciting. For years, I had dreamt of standing beneath the Eiffel Tower, strolling along the Seine, and basking in the beauty of the Louvre. However, when I finally had the opportunity, my trip to the City of Light turned out to be about much more than sightseeing. It became a journey of self-discovery. I was at a crossroads in my life. My career felt stagnant, my relationships were shallow, and I often felt like a spectator in my own story. When a long-forgotten savings account resurfaced, I took it as a sign. Why not? I thought, booking a solo ticket to Paris without a second glance. The first day in Paris was everything I had envisioned. I wandered through Montmartre, where the cobblestone streets whispered stories of artists and dreamers who had walked there before me. The view from Sacré-Cœur was breathtaking, and I felt the faintest stirrings of hope in my chest. Maybe this trip would help me rediscover myself. But as the days passed, I began to notice something. While Paris was undeniably beautiful, I felt oddly out of place. I couldn't speak French beyond a few basic phrases, and every café I entered seemed to highlight how alone I was. Couples laughed together, families shared meals, and I sat in the corner with my guidebook and a growing sense of loneliness. On my third day, I ventured to a small bookshop near the Latin Quarter called Le Rêveur Littéraire. The name, which meant the literary dreamer, seemed fitting. As I browsed the shelves, a frail, elderly man behind the counter greeted me with a warm smile. "You look like someone searching for answers," he said in perfect English. Caught off guard, I hesitated. "Maybe," I admitted. "Or maybe I'm just trying to enjoy Paris." He chuckled. "Paris doesn't give answers, my dear. It gives perspective." Intrigued, I lingered in the shop. The man, whose name was Marcel, shared stories about Paris, its history, and the people who had come through his shop. "Everyone comes to Paris for something," he said. "Some seek love, some seek art, and some seek themselves. But what they find is not always what they're looking for." Before I left, Marcel handed me a small, well-worn book. Its title was in French, but he translated it for me. "The Heart's Journey." "Read it," he said. "And take your time." I thanked him and returned to my hotel, where I began to read. The book was a collection of short stories, each one exploring themes of loss, resilience, and self-worth. One story, in particular, resonated with me. It was about a young woman who spent her life chasing the approval of others, only to realize that she had neglected her own happiness in the process. As I read, I couldn't help but see parallels in my own life. I had spent so much time trying to meet others' expectations, whether it was in my career, friendships, or even this trip, that I had lost sight of what truly mattered to me. The next morning, I decided to explore Paris differently. I put away my guidebook and let my instincts guide me. I stumbled upon a quiet park where children played and elderly couples sat holding hands. I found a tiny bakery with the most heavenly croissants and shared a smile with the baker as she handed me my order. I walked along the Seine without a destination, simply soaking in the beauty around me. It was during one of these aimless wanderings that I met Sophie, a street artist painting portraits near Notre Dame. Her work was vibrant, bursting with life and emotion. I struck up a conversation with her, curious about her inspiration. "I paint what I feel," she said, her hand stained with colors. "Life is too short to live for others. You have to find your own rhythm." Her words stayed with me. Over the next few days, I spent time with Sophie, learning about her journey as an artist and her philosophy on life. She encouraged me to try painting, and though my attempts were far from masterpieces, I found joy in the process. For the first time in years I felt a sense of freedom. As my trip drew to a close, I visited Marcel at the bookshop one last time. "Did Paris give you what you came for?" he asked with a knowing smile. I thought about his question. "Not exactly," I said. "But it gave me what I needed." Marcel nodded. "That's the magic of this city. Doesn't give answers, but it opens doors. The rest is up to you." On my final evening in Paris, I stood beneath the Eiffel Tower, its lights twinkling like stars. The city that had initially felt foreign and overwhelming now felt like a dear friend. It had shown me that the answers I sought weren't in the landmarks or the guidebooks. They were within me. When I returned home, I carried the lessons of Paris with me. I made changes in my life, choosing to prioritize my passions and embrace my individuality. I stopped chasing external validation and started focusing on what truly made me happy. Paris taught me that life is not about ticking boxes or meeting expectations. It's about finding beauty in the unexpected, embracing imperfection, and living authentically. And for that, I will always be grateful to the City of Light.